Hi everyone, TSW here, and in this video I am going to read, because I've not seen this before, the changes presumably that are coming to the Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary. This is from the PTR development notes. Let's zoom in just so it's easier for you guys if you're on mobile or whatever. Welcome to the Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary Public Test Realm. So I'll be playing on the PTR, so yeah, hopefully we can do some raiding. The PTR will open soon this week. This first 2.5.5 patch unlocks Outland and allows testers to reach level 70. For this PTR, in addition to all the content in Calendar of the Kingdoms, Outland will be available. The following changes are coming to the Burning Crusade Classic Patch 255 and are planned for testing in the PTR. So these, listen up people, listen up. Heroism and Bloodlust are now raid wide with a 10-minute sated/exhaustion debuff. So you do not need to stack your 5th shaman or your 6th shaman just to get lusts farmed into your hunter group or your warlock group. Just a quick recap. What normally would happen is your groups that deal the most damage, so you'd have 4 hunters and a feral druid to give the hunters 5% feral crit. You'd swap the druid out and the shaman in, pop lust, and then when lust ends, you just keep swapping shamans in, so the hunter group can just get lust, and then when that ends, a new lust and a new lust and a new lust, and the hunters just get the druid for the 5% crit in straight away, so the hunters lose nothing effectively. But this means that everyone will only get 1 lust for each 10-minute fight. And in TBC Classic, I don't think there are going to be any fights that last longer than 10 minutes. So it's basically 1 lust per fight. So later on, I can maybe do some boss guides or a video where I would put lust on every single encounter where the damage makes the biggest impact. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, let me know and I can do that as well. So next up is Terracone's respawn rate increased and additional Terracone nodes have been added. I like this. So Terracones are the herbs that are in Terracar Forest. Who'd have thought? And these are for haste potions. So this is the default DPS potion for all physical in TBC, and also some casters can also use this. They have I can't remember what the caster potion is normally called, but they can use a haste potion if they want. The haste from the potion does do spell and physical haste. But it's normally the casters normally use a different one. Anyway, next up, so that's really good for like people just wanting easier consumes. It's not as big as having Black Lotuses be more common in Classic Anniversary, but in TBC it's something nice. It's something, you know. Edit mode added as quality of life option to players' users interface. I'm not sure what it means by edit mode. I could imagine talents maybe being something that you can edit before committing them to. I'm not entirely sure what this means. Edit mode. Does it just mean the UI in general? Like your unit frames and raid frames and that sort of thing? I don't know. Anyway, Heroic Dungeons. If you've got any ideas, let me know in the comments below, okay? Thank you. Heroic Dungeons. Every player's first character will be required to become fully attuned, hitting revered reputation level. But upon doing so for each dungeon, players can then purchase a bag which contains a bindonbattle.net account key to send to alt. So this is a really good idea. A lot of people have been asking for this, and this is very good. I hope that the bag is somewhat expensive, or it needs a badge of justice or primal nethers. Do you guys have any suggestions what this could be, or would you rather it be easy mode and the bag be like 2 gold? I'd be happy for this to be something more interesting. It's not a good time for me to have multiple accounts, but I mean, it won't be that difficult to get revered on, 1 character from each account. Alts must reach at least friendly reputation level to use the key and grant attunement to that character. Right, so this is specifically just for dungeons. So this will be for heroics. So heroics require revered reputation, and just doing the base, like just doing a handful of quests in an hour or two, you can get friendly reputation with basically everywhere. And a lot of them also have hand-in repeatable quests like like Coilfang armaments. Or there are some eyes, like Sketis eyes, and some other things. Maybe I'll do a video on that as well. That's an interesting topic, how to get into dungeons without doing anything apart from one character. Okay, here's some juicy stuff, hopefully. Raids. Every player's first character will be required to become fully attuned to each raid, but upon doing so, that raid will be unlocked for all characters on the player's battle.net account. Raids will be released in their post-nerf state. What? Post-nerf? What? Okay, story time. So when Blizzard were releasing TBC Classic first time round, they said pre-nerf. And what does pre-nerf mean? Well, pre-nerf to me means a raid in its most difficult form before it's had the numbers dialed back to make it easier. That is not what we got in TBC Classic. If you don't know, TBC Classic pre-nerf was closer to pre-Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch, if that makes sense. So when Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch came, it nerfed a lot of the content in TBC as expected and brought Death Knights and all that sort of stuff. But TBC Classic was basically just like the day before the Wrath of the Lich King patch came. So that's more or less, as far as my understanding is, that is kind of what we had difficulty-wise for TBC Classic. That's why it was fairly easy. But there were many, many, many nerfs made compared to TBC back in the day that would have been implemented for me to consider that pre-nerf. So the fact that we're getting this in a post-nerf state suggests to me that this is going to be some sort of like even easy, like it's going to be even easier. Like it was easy in TBC. Anyway, that blows my mind. So the raids are going to be even easier. So Blizzard are basically saying, we want you to level alts and to just raid all the time. I mean, my goal for TBC anyway was to have 9 or 10 characters and to try and raid with them multiple times a day, like multiple raids a day to get all the characters through each week. But this makes it even easier. I mean, it's going to be... if the raids are actually nerfed, they're going to feel more like doing heroics than they are doing raids. And I think that might have a counterproductive effect in that it's more like it's a collecting game where WoW's always been like a collecting game where you're collecting gear of every phase, but this is more like if the raids are easy, it'll just be a case of showing up and getting gear versus actually wanting to bring a good player to help the raid. It'll just be a case of pugs. We'll see how this goes. I mean, that's why they have a PTR. So hopefully that's something that does change. What I'd really like is a heroic mode for the raids. Just a difficulty that actually challenges players and gives you a little bit more loot or some sort of incentive to try it be more difficult. But so far, it's nerfs. Only having lust for one raid means that I don't like using the term because it's a very blanket term, but like the dad gamer guilds where they don't have an optimum raid configuration, them having a lust like this lust hero change is really good for them, because if they aren't able to recruit or force players to play shamans and they only have one shaman in the whole raid, that's fine. They're not getting penalized by this change. It's actually helping them. It's bringing the floor up of these more casual guilds. So that's really good. The changes that should be made in WoW, generally speaking, are ones that bring the floor up, not the ceiling up. Like all the hardcore gamers will do all the sweaty stuff that they can do. So if you give them more options to increase their damage, they will do that. And the dad gamers won't. So the people playing lots and the no-lifers and the gold buyers and everyone like that gets an advantage, where the dad gamers will refuse to go the extra mile, rightfully so in many cases, in my opinion, for the health of the game. Anyway, getting off to a bit of a tangent, but yes. So the raids will be slightly more difficult because there's only one lust per raid, and it's raid-wide, so you can't have healers need it when it's healing intensive, and the DPS need it when DPS intensive. It'll all be at once, of course. So you'll just do it when the DPS want it. But yeah, so it'll be, your damage will be less because you only have one lust for the whole raid. But maybe they're nerfing the content as a consequence of the lust change. But even so, I don't think who's asking for the raids to be easier? Let me know in the comments below if it's you, or does anyone you know want the raids to be easier, because that seems crazy to me. Anyway, arenas. I'm not really a big PvPer. Realm transfer. Spoilers. Okay, arenas. During the original Burning Crusade expansion, it felt good to make a team that started at 1500 and throw together some people to participate in 10 games to receive points each week without having to climb back from zero. With Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary Edition, we're interested in bringing that teams feeling back by we're interested in bringing that teams feeling back by encouraging players to participate in the system more than ever before. Okay, good. What I did in TBC was I just did 10 games every single week just to grind out the previous season's arena weapons to gear my ults and any other items for like tanking, because for Druid and Warrior the pieces are quite good. However, as we lean into the feeling of teams, we want you to be able to play with whoever you like without requiring you to make a team. So arena points earned are still based on individual rating. So they're going to do personal rating. Yeah. Okay. Each player's rating now starts at 1500 instead of 0. Once per week, per character, you can pay gold to reset back to 1500. Great. This helps me if I'm wanting to do what I do and just do 10 games each week and lose 10 games. So my rating's like 1400. So I still get 40. Oh, well, actually, let's see what happens with the points, because they might all act like it's 1500, like I think they did before. This is only possible if you are below 1500 rating. Okay, so you can't reset from higher up. Ratings above 1500 cannot reset. Oh, okay, so you can't smurf your character again and again. Okay. Okay. The gold will vary based on your team's bracket, right? That's like doing the charter anyway, when you're making the team. Each bracket, 2s, 3s, 5s, has its own weekly reset. Not resetting on the raid reset? I'm not sure about that. What does that mean? There are no requirements in order to be able to purchase PvP gear for any pieces except shoulders 2k rating and weapons 1700 rating. The shoulders and the weapons are the only ones that matter, right? I mean, was it like 1550 for the legs, 1650 for the chest, if I remember correctly, something like that? But that never bothered me, and I don't think it bothered many other people, because that was almost no rating anyway. I think most people can get to 1650. But anyway, we want to maintain the prestige of earning some nice looking shoulders or titles for those competing for the top spots. But overall, we'd like to make gearing up and participating in PvP more accessible at any entry level, particularly for players who might struggle to reach the high brackets. The overall cost of PvP gear has been lowered slightly. The faction reputation PvP gear will now be sold starting at the first arena season. Good. It was, I can't remember if it was like this in classic TBC, but being able to get the gear for rep is too easy. If you're wanting to, get yourself like the icon trinket as a caster, you need to have 44 badges or 41 badges of justice. And by doing that, you're easily being able to get reputation. Well, you need reputation to do heroics, and it's only honored for the honored PvP gear from the vendor, and it's too easy to get. And if you're playing like a druid or an alt, you can just skip a lot of the heroic grind by just buying 5 pieces of the PvP set from the honored vendor, and you can jump straight into Kara. As a feral druid, you have lots of the bonus armor on the honored PvP set, and you can go straight into tanking Kara. Just get a few of the cleft hoof pieces from the leatherworking, and you're good to go, more or less. It's too easy. Like, honored is too easy to get level 70 PvP gear, because it's really good for PvP, but it makes the gearing process way too quick for PvE. Anyway, sorry, tangent. Let's continue. The faction reputation gear will now be sold starting from the first arena season. Okay, I've read that bit. The item set bonuses for each of the faction reputation PvP gear sets have been combined with their honor gear equivalents, Grand Marshal / High Warlords. So the Grand Marshal set is the rare set that looks like the rank 14, rank 11 set, but the Grand Marshal High Warlord set needs honor and marks from Battlegrounds. The reputation set is honored from vendor. So the Grand Marshal set actually needs you to PvP in Battlegrounds to get it. This means that players can get a mix of honor and reputation pieces to unlock 2 and 4 piece bonuses. Oh, okay. Oh, so this is just a quality of life benefit. So you can have 2 pieces of honor gear and 2 pieces of the rare PvP gear, and you'll get the 4-piece set bonus. Okay, that's a good change. Okay, great. What do I think overall about the PvP changes? I think they are pretty good. I don't like the faction reputation PvP gear will be sold starting with the first. Okay, so at least they're locking the faction reputation PvP gear until the arena season starts, because for early on, it's just too easy to like gear up on launch. At least you'll be waiting a few weeks for the first arena season to start. But I still think, I mean, you'll still be able to save your honor from pre-patch and your marks from the Battlegrounds in pre-patch and buy yourself 2 or 3 pieces of Grand Marshal gear on launch. But, you know, that's okay. I think they should... yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that, because at least until the arena season starts, you will only be able to get Grand Marshal and High Warlords rare PvP items from BGs. Okay, that's a good change. I like that change. Yeah, that's okay. I like that. That's good. That's good. Well done, Blizzard. So I like the gear, how it's locked behind Season 1 for the easy to get rep gear, and you need to grind BGs for the Marshal High Warlords gear. Great. And then with the rating, I think that is good. It's personal. I'm not sure what it means by will have its own weekly reset means. They'll all reset at once, like normal. No? Why they have their own reset? I don't know what that means. Please let me know in the comments. Okay, realm type transfers and feature updates. For those classic anniversary players who prefer their character not continue to Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary, free character transfers from Anniversary realms to Classic Era realms will be for a limited time starting November 25. This option to move Classic Anniversary characters to Classic Era realms will close on January 13th. Oh, earlier I read it was January 12th. So January 13th is the day the pre-patch goes live. But maybe this is the EU page, so maybe it's a day later for us on the Wednesday. Okay. Maybe that's the discrepancy in the dates. So basically, if you don't want your character to go into TBC, you have to move it to Classic Era Realms before the pre-patch hits. Okay? And it's for free, which is good, because before Blizzard were charging you when TBC came out last time, right? Or was it a copy and they charged you for it? After January 13, 2026, players will no longer be able to move their Classic Anniversary characters to Classic Era realms, and characters remaining on Classic Anniversary realms will continue to Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary. Anniversary Hardcore realms. Okay, this is interesting. I've read some about this earlier. Let's see. As there are no Burning Crusade Hardcore realms during the transfer window, players with characters on Anniversary Hardcore realms will have the option to transfer their characters to normal, non-hardcore Anniversary realms, so that those characters will continue to Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary, right? Players who do not move their Anniversary Hardcore characters to normal Anniversary realms before January 13, 2026 will stay on their current realms, and the transfer destinations available to these characters will change to non-hardcore Classic Era realm destinations. This means that an Anniversary Hardcore character who meets their untimely end will be able to transfer to a Classic Era realm and return to the living. Well, so that's basically confirmation that there aren't any TBC Hardcore realms, which is a bit of a shame, particularly because up here, remember, the raids are in their post-nerf state. Okay. Classic Era. When making your destination to transfer, please consider that the Group Finder tool and the Dual Spec feature will soon be added to Classic Era realms. This means that new and existing characters on Classic Era realms will have the option to learn Dual Spec. At this time, the rule sets between Anniversary Hardcore and the original Hardcore realms will be aligned. This means that the only Hardcore realms will This means that the original Hardcore realms will receive Dual Spec, Instant Mail, and the Dungeon Finder tool. No other changes are planned for Classic Era realms or Hardcore realms as part of this update. We recognise that to some players, any change being brought to the Classic Era or original Hardcore environments arrives with hesitation. We acknowledge this, and we want you to know that we consider any change we make to these realms extremely carefully. In the case of the Group Finder tool, we consider it to be a true quality of life update, bringing players an additional and intuitive way to connect with each other. A similar quality of life update is edit mode. Ooh, tell me what this is. Allowing players to edit their user interfaces, which we are adding as a new change to Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary Edition. Quality, I still don't know what it is. Is it something like Is it something like retail? If it's retail, I don't know anything about it. Quality of life user interface options like edit mode could eventually make their way to Classic Era as well, and we look forward to the community's thoughts on optional user interface quality of life additions such as this. The choice to bring Dual Spec to Classic Era similarly received a tremendous amount of consideration and listening to the community's thoughts on this feature. Since its introduction into Vanilla WoW in Season of Discovery, and again from the very start of Classic Anniversary, the introduction of Dual Spec to Vanilla WoW has been arguably the single most popular new feature and one of the most well received in Classic space. Players have praised that it simply makes the game more fun to play, and our hope is that Classic Era players will enjoy it just as much. Look here for raid testing dates, times, and more details in the weeks to come. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so I'm really annoyed that the raids are going to be nerfed. Post-nerf, that means nerfs have taken place. And this is after the nerfs. I don't get that. Who's asking for that? Please let me know in the comments below. I mean, that's the biggest bombshell that we have in this post. Crazy. Okay, let me know what your thoughts are. Stay subscribed, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for checking out the video. Peace out.